want to start today with a scenario that I think is going to be painfully familiar to a huge portion of our listeners. It's what I'm calling the language paradox. You spend, say, 10 years in school, middle school, high school, maybe some university courses, studying a language.
Oh, yeah. The drills, the lists.
The drills, you're conjugating verbs until your eyes cross, you pass the test, but then you get dropped in the middle of London or New York, you walk into a busy cafe, and you just freeze. You can't even order a coffee without sweating.
It's the classic nightmare, isn't it? The academic success versus the real world paralysis.
Exactly. And meanwhile, there's a 5-year-old kid at the next table who's never seen a textbook in their life, just chattering away perfectly. They own the language.
You're just renting it.
You're renting it, and you're behind on payments. Make that make sense?
Well, it is the ultimate frustration. And that gap between the effort we put in and the result we actually get, that's exactly where we're parking the bus today. We are doing a deep dive into a comprehensive, and I mean really comprehensive, system developed by a guy named Xinquang Zhu.
And when we say comprehensive, we are not talking about a new app with a little green hour. No. I was looking to the source material you sent over, and this thing is a beast.
It is.
It's a philosophy. It combines linguistics, psychology, and get this, a massive 20,000-word audio novel written specifically for this method.
It really is a complete ecosystem. Yu isn't just teaching English. He's challenging the fundamental way adults even try to learn. And he makes a very bold promise in his material. He claims that if you follow the system, specifically listening for 2 hours a day, you can achieve native-like fluency in 3 years.
Native-like is a pretty fuzzy term, though. Does he define it?
He does, and he puts a hard number on it. He defines it as having an active vocabulary of 20,000 words. I mean, to give you some context, most casual learners, they plateau around maybe 4,000 words. That gets you by.
You can book a hotel, order food.
Right, but 20,000. That is an educated, articulate, professional level of vocabulary. That's reading the New York Times or The Economist without reaching for a dictionary.
So our mission today is to really unpack how on earth he plans to get us there. We're going to look at his mother's speech method. We're going to dissect this wild sci-fi historical novel he wrote.
And we have to get into the ecology of words, which, honestly, that part blew my mind.
Same. And the philosophy behind it, too. This idea that language is actually a physical skill, not just an intellectual one.
Yeah, let's start there. The diagnosis. Why does you think the way we all learned in school, reading first, grammar first, is actually damaging our ability to speak?
It seems so logical, right? Learn the rules first.
It does, but he argues that traditional learning is trapped in the left brain.
The logical, analytical side.
The logical, analytical side. I mean, think about how you learned in school. You see a word, you analyze the spelling, you think about the grammar rule, you translate it.
It's calculation.
It's a calculation, and it's incredibly slow. But Speaking is a right brain activity. It's sensory, it's rhythm, it's about flow.
He compares it to sports, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Or music.
Exactly. Think about riding a bike. When you're pedaling down the street, are you actively calculating the physics of the friction on the tires or the angle of the slope?
No, I'm just trying not to crash. I'm just pedaling.
Right. If you stopped to calculate the physics, you would fall off. And that is exactly what happens to adults speaking English. They pause to calculate the grammar, and the flow just breaks. Yu calls the state we want to reach somatic sense or body feeling.
Somatic sense. Okay, it sounds like something from a sci-fi movie, but break that down for me.
It's basically proprioception, but for language. A gut feeling. When a basketball player shoots a hoop, they aren't calculating the trajectory. They have a body feeling for how much force to use.
Muscle memory.
It's muscle memory. Yu says we need to move English from knowledge, which is stored in the brain as data, to somatic sense, which is a physical reflex.
Okay, I buy the theory, but here's the practical problem. I can't just regress to being a baby. A baby spends 2 years just listening to its mom before saying a word. I have a job, I have bills. How do we replicate that mother's speech environment as adults?
Right, you can't replicate it perfectly, but you can simulate it. Yu outlines this very specific routine. It's almost like a gym workout for your ears.
Okay.
And it leverages a concept from the linguist Stephen Krashen called comprehensible input.
Oh, I've heard of that. The idea that you need to hear language that is just slightly above your current level.
Exactly. But the key is you have to understand the context. If you just listen to advanced physics in Russian, you won't learn Russian. You'll just get a headache.
Right.
So Zhu proposes this 3-step cycle to solve that problem.
I saw this in the notes, and honestly, step 2 kind of confused me. But let's walk through them.
Yeah.
Step 1 seems standard. You listen to the English audio while reading the English text.
Yep. You're connecting the sound you hear to the shape of the word you see. That's the baseline.
Okay. But step 2. You listen to the English audio, but you read the translation in your native language. In his case, Chinese.
Yes.
That feels like rubbing your tummy and patting your head at the same time. Wouldn't reading in your native language just distract you from the English audio?
It sounds so counterintuitive, I know. But think about the cognitive load. When you listen to a new language, your brain is doing 2 huge jobs at once.
Okay.
First, it's trying to decode the sound, the phonetics. And second, it's trying to decode the meaning. That is exhausting.
It is. That's why you get tired after just 10 minutes of practice.
Exactly. So by reading the translation in your native language, you are giving your brain the meaning for free. You instantly know what's happening in the story. This frees up 100% of your auditory processing power to focus solely on the sound and the rhythm of the English. You are bypassing the decoding phase and going straight to acquisition.
So you're basically using your native language as a crutch to let your ears do all the heavy lifting.
Precisely. It bridges the meaning directly to the sound without that slow grammar translation step in the middle.
Okay, and then step 3.
Step 3 just flips it. You listen to your native language audio while reading the English text. This reinforces the link from the other direction. And the goal is to do this loop over and over until you can do blind listening, just the English audio, no text, and you get it all.
Okay, so we're flooding the brain with audio to build this body feeling, but you can't just listen to random noise. You need content. And this is where you gets, well, a little obsessive.
Obsessive is the right word. Yeah.
He looked at TV shows, movies, news, and decided none of them were good enough. What? I mean, everyone says watch Friends to learn English.
It really comes down to vocabulary density. Think about a sitcom like Friends. It's very conversational. How are you? I'm fine. Yeah. Did you see Ross? They use the same, 3,000 common words over and over again?
Right.
To encounter 20,000 distinct, high-level words in a sitcom, you would literally have to watch TV for 100 years. The density is just too low for that native, goal.
So what does he do?
He decided to build his own content. He wrote a massive saga called New Harbor City Dreams.
Sounds like a soap opera title.
It kind of has the drama of one, but it's a Trojan horse. The story exists for one reason: to smuggle vocabulary into your brain. It's a 3-volume novel that spans about 100 years.
I was reading the character bios, and it feels like he's trying to simulate the entire economy. You've got Alex, the IT guy, Brooke, the entrepreneur, Charlie, who works for a state-owned enterprise, Diana, the doctor.
And through their lives and their ancestors' lives, he covers history, too. The Mayflower landing, the fall of the Berlin Wall, the dissolution of the Soviet Union.
And then it goes full sci-fi. I saw a section on AI taking over jobs and colonizing Mars.
Yes, because if you want to be fluent, you need to be able to talk about history and the future. But the genius is in how he uses specific scenes.
Give us an example.
Okay, take the character Phoenix, Alex's wife. There's a scene where she's giving birth to twins. Now, in a normal novel, the writer focuses on the emotion, the dialogue. In Yu's system, that scene is a tactical deployment of obstetric vocabulary.
I saw that list. Obstetric ward, contractions, oxytocin, lateral incision.
Exactly. Now, if I just gave you a flashcard list of those words, you would fall asleep.
Instantly.
But in the book, you are emotionally invested. Is Phoenix okay? Are the babies healthy? You are visualizing the hospital room. The vocabulary just attaches itself to the story.
So the context acts like glue for your memory.
Precisely. There's another great example with the character Michael. He starts out really humble, washing dishes in a restaurant.
The dirty plate scene.
Yes. Most learners just know the word dirty, maybe clean. But in this scene, Michael is scrubbing plates, and Zhu introduces the entire ecosystem of spots.
Smudge, blotch, grease, speck, splotch.
All of them.
I never realized we had so many words for just a bit of dirt.
And they're all specific. Grease implies thick oil. A speck is tiny and dry. A smudge implies it's been wiped or smeared. A native speaker knows these distinctions intuitively. This novel forces you to visualize those distinctions to follow the action.
It's like you're engineering the native experience. You aren't memorizing definitions. You're seeing the grease on the plate.
That's the somatic sense kicking in.
This leads perfectly to the next big concept, which I think was my biggest aha moment from all of this. The ecology of words.
This is Shu's word method, or Z-Fi, and it addresses the biggest pain point for learners. English vocabulary feels so random. It feels like this chaotic mess of borrowed words from French, German, Latin.
It feels like 3 languages standing on each other's shoulders wearing a trench coat.
It often does, yeah. But Yu argues that words are not isolated islands. They live in ecosystems. They have DNA. And if you understand the underlying pattern, you don't need to memorize them one by one. You learn them in families.
The example that really clicked for me was the P sound. I never noticed this before, but he argues the P sound is inherently connected to openings or holes.
It's a fascinating observation of sound symbolism. He even categorizes them by the size of the hole. So you start with a large opening, a port.
A harbor.
Yeah.
Or a portal, an opening.
Right. Or a porch, the opening to a house. Then you go down a size to medium holes, poke, pierce.
And then the deep, small holes.
A pipe, which is essentially just a long hole, or a pore, the tiny holes in your skin.
And then he connects this to the word depilate.
Yes. Depilate to remove hair. And why? Because the hair grows out of the pore. The P element represents the hole. So depilate is removing the thing from the hole.
That is wild. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Perforate, penetrate, pit. They all share that same P DNA.
It turns vocabulary from a memory test into a pattern recognition game. Another really powerful family he highlights is the qua sound.
Qua, as in question.
Exactly. Question comes from the root to seek or to say. Quo. And that qua sound connects a massive family of words all about speaking and seeking.
So, quote, to say something, request to ask for something, quest to seek something.
You got it. Inquest, an official inquiry. Loquacious, someone who talks way too much. Eloquent, speaking beautifully. They all hang on that one qua spine.
But then he throws in the funny ones, like squabble.
Even that fits. A squabble is a noisy argument. Lots of speaking.
And a quack.
A duck speaking. It seems silly, but it fits the ecosystem. If you know qua implies speech or sound, you have a hook to hang the memory on. Even if you've never seen the word soliloquy before, you see that qua at the end and you know it involves talking.
It makes the language feel engineered, rather than just random. It's comforting in a way.
It reduces the cognitive load.
Yeah.
You aren't learning 20,000 random items. You're learning maybe 500 root concepts and how they evolve. Another simple one is the rim family.
Oh, right. Rim and edge.
Rim, brim, the edge of a hat or a cup, fringe and edge with hanging bits, and brink.
Brink, like on the brink of disaster.
Exactly. Brink implies a dangerous edge, like a cliff. They all share that rim or rin sound structure that represents a boundary.
Okay, so we've got the audio flooding, the novel for context, and the ecology for memory. But there's one thing you can't really logic your way out of in English, and that is pronunciation. Specifically, word stress.
The nightmare of stress.
In Spanish or French, the stress is usually fixed. In English, it just wanders around like a lost tourist. Photograph, photography, photographic. It drives people crazy.
It does. And this is where Shu offers what he calls his iron rules. He basically says, stop guessing, look at the suffix.
So the ending of the word dictates the stress.
For a huge number of complex words, yes. Let's look at the rule for words ending in I. The rule is the stress always falls on the syllable immediately before the ike.
Okay, let me test that. Atom becomes atomic.
Correct. Hero becomes heroic. History becomes historic. Economy becomes economic.
That is incredibly useful. That works almost every time.
Almost 99% of the time. The second big rule is for words ending in iety. Same idea. Stress the syllable before the tiety.
So real becomes reality. Curious becomes curiosity.
Simple becomes simplicity.
That actually takes a lot of the anxiety out of reading aloud.
It does. It builds confidence. And the third one he mentions is ikony. Music to musician. Library to librarian.
And this is where he dropped that vocabulary bomb that made me laugh out loud. He used this really obscure word to prove the rule works, even for words you've never seen before.
Calipigian.
Yes, Calipigian. For our listeners who don't have a dictionary handy and maybe you're listening with kids in the car, give us the PG definition.
It means having beautiful buttocks.
A crucial word for everyday business meetings, I'm sure.
Perhaps not. But the point stands. You look at that word Calipigian, it looks like a mess of letters. But you see the Garian, you know the stress hits the syllable right before it. Calipigian. You can pronounce it correctly the first time you see it, even if you don't know it's about glutes.
That's the competence piece. If you trust the pattern, you can speak. And that transitions us perfectly to the final pillar of this system. We've talked about the mechanics, but Gary wraps this all in a specific philosophy. He calls it praxeology.
Praxeology, the study of human action. In the novel, the characters Emily and Edward actually have a meta conversation about this. They discuss whether learning is about talent or some miraculous insight.
And they conclude it's neither.
Right. They conclude it's about automatism. Repetition until it becomes an unconscious habit. It's the wax on, wax off idea. You don't think about walking, you just walk. You believes you shouldn't think about English, you should just speak it.
So the only way to get to that lack of thinking is through a massive volume of input.
Exactly. It frames language learning not as an intellectual pursuit, but as a behavioral habit. And Zhu takes it a step further into something quite existential. He reinterprets Descartes, you know, the famous quote.
Cogito ergo sum, I think, therefore I am.
Right. Zhu puts a modern spin on it. He suggests it's not just about existing, it's I matter because I think and create.
Okay.
He warns that if you just eat food, seek comfort, watch mindless TV, you don't really exist in a historical sense.
That's a pretty heavy thought for a language course.
It is. He argues that when you die, if you've only consumed, nothing remains. But thoughts, creations, language, those are externalizations of your soul. They remain. So learning a language, for him, is an act of creation. It's expanding your existence.
Wow. It really elevates the whole process. It's not just, I need English to get a promotion. It's, I need language to expand the resolution of my reality.
That's a great way to put it. Expanding the resolution. He says that without the words to describe something, you are essentially blind to it.
This connects right back to the somatic sense and the vocabulary. I mean, if I don't have the word for Kelbesian, well, maybe I miss out on noticing beauty. But seriously, with the medical examples, if I don't have the word for a specific type of pain, I might not be able to communicate a life-threatening situation.
Precisely. Or in business, if you don't understand the nuance between revenue and profit or strategy and tactics, you're blind to the reality of company. The limit of your language is the limit of your world.
So let's bring this down to earth for our listener. We've unpacked a huge system here. What are the key takeaways they should walk away with?
Okay, if we zoom out, the first takeaway is stop treating language like math. It's not a set of rules to be solved. It's a physical skill to be practiced. It's about volume.
Flood the brain. 2 hours a day. Listen first, read second. Build that body feeling.
Second, don't memorize isolated words. Look for the ecosystem. Look for the p holes in the qua questions. Use the suffix rules to hack your pronunciation. Patterns beat memorization every single time.
And third, context is king. Don't just read a dictionary, read a saga. You need that emotional hook of a story like Phoenix having twins to make the vocabulary stick.
Absolutely. The brain craves narrative, so feed it narrative.
I want to leave everyone with a final thought to chew on. Zhu says a second language is a second soul. It's a beautiful sentiment, but I want to flip it.
Go for it.
If you don't have that second language, or if your first language is limited, what part of the world are you currently blind to? What colors, what emotions, what connections are happening right in front of your face that you literally cannot see because you don't have the words for them yet?
That is the question. And the only way to find out is to start listening.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
A pleasure.
See you next time.